Hello everyone and welcome back to Mysterious Murmurs. I know many of you use these videos to fall asleep, so before you drift off I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story name: Candlelight in the Cracked Abyss. It was an old mining town, the kind you find rotting in the belly of America. A place that had seen its best years in the rearview mirror, where the only thing deeper than the pits in the road were the pits in people's eyes. West Hollow, they called it, though no one could remember why. Most folks just called it the Hollow. Fitting, really. The mine had shut down decades ago, its tunnels sprawling beneath the town like veins in a dying body. There were stories, of course. Stories about why the mining company up and left overnight, why they boarded up the entrance with steel plates and poured concrete over it. Stories of men who went down there and never came back, whispers of something moving in the dark beneath the earth. Sam Carver had grown up hearing those stories. His grandfather, a miner himself, had told them in a low voice over the crackle of a dying fire, his eyes darting to the basement door as if something might crawl up from below. "Never go near that mine, boy," he'd said. "There's things in there that don't take kindly to the light." Sam never believed it, not really. People made up things to explain what they were too scared to understand. But when his friend, Luke Harrison, stumbled into Sam's garage one October night, his face pale as moonlight, his hands shaking so bad he couldn't light his own cigarette, Sam felt that childhood fear stir in his gut. "They opened it," Luke whispered, his voice barely there. Sam frowned. "Opened what?" "The mine." Luke wasn't the type to scare easy. He was the kind of guy who laughed at horror movies and went looking for trouble just to see if it would bite back. But something had gotten to him. Something bad. Sam leaned forward. "Who opened it?" Luke licked his lips, his fingers drumming on his knee. "Some company," he said. "Said they're looking for something." He looked up, eyes wide. "But it ain't gold, Sam." Sam felt a chill run down his spine. "Then what?" Luke shook his head. "I don't know. But there's something down there. I saw it. That should have been the end of it." Sam should have done what every sensible person in West Hollow had done for years: ignore the mine and keep living. But Luke was scared, and that scared Sam more than anything. So, against every instinct, he agreed to go see it for himself. The mine was exactly how he remembered it from childhood, dead and quiet. But now the steel plates were gone, the concrete cracked open like an old wound. A heavy-duty chain-link fence stood around the entrance, but the gate had been left open, swinging in the wind. The air changed when they stepped inside, thick with a damp, earthen smell. The deeper they went, the worse it got. The air felt wrong, heavy in a way Sam couldn't explain. Then they found the candles. Hundreds of them lined the walls, their tiny flames flickering in the darkness. Some were melted into grotesque shapes, wax dripping like blood. Others were fresh, barely burned. Luke swallowed hard. "Someone's been down here." Sam didn't respond. He was staring at the walls, at the carvings scratched into the stone. They weren't words, at least, not in any language he knew. A whisper, soft as a breath, moved through the tunnel. Sam spun around. "Did you hear that?" Luke nodded, his hand creeping toward the knife in his belt. "Yeah." Then the candles flickered, all at once, as if a breath had swept through the mine. And for a brief second, the darkness between them moved. It wasn't a trick of the light. It wasn't their imagination. Something was there. Then it was gone. Luke grabbed Sam's arm. We need to go. No. They turned, moving fast. Too fast. The ground beneath them wasn't stable, and the moment Sam's boot hit a loose stone, it gave way. He fell. The last thing he saw was Luke reaching for him, his mouth forming a silent scream before the darkness swallowed everything. Then silence. When Sam opened his eyes, he wasn't in the mine anymore. Or maybe he was. It felt like it, smelled like it, but something was wrong. The walls were smooth, polished like glass, and they shimmered when he moved. Candles burned in the distance, but their flames were blue, casting shadows that twisted and crawled along the walls like living things. And then he heard it. A voice, ancient and hollow, whispering his name. Sam. The sound crawled into his bones, filled his head like an echo from another world. He turned slowly, knowing, without knowing, what he would see. The darkness wasn't empty. It had eyes. And they were watching him. Sam couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The eyes in the dark weren't human. They weren't even close. They flickered like dying embers, shifting and pulsing as if they were alive, but there was something old behind them, something that had been waiting. The voice came again, curling around his brain like smoke. Sam. He stumbled backward, his boots scraping against the slick stone. The walls of this place, wherever it was, seemed to pulse, like he was trapped inside something living. His heart pounded so hard it felt like it was trying to punch its way out of his chest. Then, from the far end of the cavern, something moved. A shape, long and thin, unfurling from the darkness like a shadow peeling itself off the wall. It had arms. Too many arms. They reached forward, fingers dragging against the stone, nails clicking like teeth against bone. It knew his name. Sam forced himself to move. He turned and ran, his breath coming out in panicked gasps. The cavern seemed endless, twisting in ways that shouldn't have been possible, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. The thing behind him was coming. He could hear it. The scraping, the whispering, the laughter, soft, wrong, like a child's giggle played in reverse. A flicker, warm and golden, just ahead. He ran toward it, feeling the air grow thinner, lighter. His lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he pushed forward. And then he was falling. This time, he hit the ground hard. Real ground. Gravel and dirt and something wet soaking into his shirt. He gasped, rolling onto his back, staring up at the jagged ceiling of the real mine. Luke was there, his face wild with relief. Jesus, Sam. What the hell happened? Sam sat up too fast, the world tilting. His hands were shaking. His skin was cold. He swallowed. I don't know. Luke looked around nervously. We need to get the hell out of here. Sam didn't argue. He just let Luke pull him to his feet, his mind still reeling from what he'd seen, what he'd felt. It had been real. More real than anything he'd ever known. But when they reached the mine's entrance, Sam stopped. Because the candles were gone. Every single one. And scratched into the stone wall beside the exit, in his own handwriting, was a message. We let you go this time. Sam felt the breath leave his lungs. The world around him felt suddenly too big, too hollow. Because he understood something now. The mine hadn't been closed to keep people out. It had been closed to keep them in. And something had just changed. Something had just woken up. Sam didn't sleep that night. He sat on his bed, the curtains drawn, the lamp burning beside him. His body ached, his brain felt stretched thin, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw them. The eyes. Films. The words scratched into the mine wall in his own damn handwriting. We let you go this time. It didn't feel like a warning. It felt like a promise. Luke had left him at his doorstep, shaking his head, muttering, "We never should have gone down there, man. We never should have gone down there." Sam had watched him drive off, tires skidding on gravel. He didn't blame him. If Luke had seen even half of what Sam had, he'd be drinking himself into a coma right about now. But Sam couldn't afford to drink. He needed his head clear. Because something wasn't right. The air in his house felt heavier. The shadows stretched too far. The hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen sounded like a voice whispering just beyond his hearing. And then there was the candle. It was sitting on his nightstand. The wick blackened, as if it had already burned. Sam hadn't put it there. His stomach clenched. Slowly he reached out, picked it up. It was warm, like someone had just blown it out moments before he noticed it. He dropped it. It hit the floor with a dull thunk and rolled under the bed. His breath came in short, sharp bursts. His skin felt too tight, like it was stretching over something that wasn't quite him anymore. He was still in the mine. Maybe not physically, but something had followed him out. And it wasn't done with him yet. The next morning, Luke didn't answer his phone. By noon, Sam was standing outside his house, pounding on the door. "Open up, man." Nothing. The curtains were drawn. The truck was still in the driveway. But something was off. The house was too quiet. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind of quiet that listens. Sam tried the doorknob. Unlocked. A knot formed in his gut. Luke never left his door unlocked. He pushed it open. The air smelled wrong, stale, damp, with an undercurrent of something metallic. Blood. "Luke?" No answer. Sam stepped inside. The floor creaked under his boots. The living room was empty. So was the kitchen. The beer bottle from last night still sat on the counter, condensation pooling around it. It was warm now, untouched. Then he saw the candles. Dozens of them. Arranged in a circle on the floor, their wax melted into grotesque shapes. And in the middle of them, sitting on the floor, cross-legged, his eyes open but empty. Jesus! Sam stumbled back, his stomach lurching. Luke's skin was pale. His lips were moving, but no sound came out. Sam crouched, grabbing his shoulders. "Hey man, wake up." Luke's lips twitched. His throat bobbed. Then, in a voice that wasn't his own, he whispered, "You should have stayed below." Sam's blood turned to ice. Luke's face twisted, like something inside him was trying to wear him. His jaw cracked. His fingers spasmed against the wooden floor. And then he screamed. A sound so raw, so inhuman, it made Sam's vision blur. Then every candle in the room flickered out. Darkness swallowed the house. And something else breathed in the corner. If you've enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have a tale of your own or a legend you'd like us to explore? Let us know. You might just hear it next. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. Because here the darkness is always waiting just for you.